Hello, it's Debbie Gilbert from the Business Awards show, and I'm also the founder of the Best Business Women Awards. And today I'm joined by Natalie Murray, who is a branding expert, designer of awards, all kinds of stuff we're going to talk to her about today. And she's also won awards herself. So Natalie is an incredible person to get to know. She's had over 10 years experience working with businesses on their branding and design. And we're going to chat to her today about all things awards. So welcome, Natalie.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Debbie.
Thank you. I mean, we've actually met in person. So we met at, I think it was a networking event at Christmas, wasn't it? Was it
It
at
was.
Christmas time?
It was. It
Yeah, I
was a
think it was a
beautiful.
Sister Snog Christmas networking event.
It was.
It's a bit crazy, as they
It's
always are.
fabulous. Fabulous.
And then we sat on the train having a natter. And then we also met at Emphas Maloney's lovely Golden Peacock Awards
We
as
did.
well,
We did. Yeah.
where
So
you actually were the recipient of one of those awards, weren't you?
I was. Yeah, I was. I won the Sparkle Award. Ooh, it was very
Oh,
exciting.
that's great. I love a bit of sparkle. But let's start off with the journey. And where did the sparkle start? Where did you begin?
Oh, what a good question. So, I'm traditionally a graphic designer as my background, and I did my degree and I got my first job working in packaging, and I was loving it, loving that life. But then I wanted to change. I needed a new job, so I looked around, and there was an advert for a job for someone with 3D experience, which of course I had, being a packaging designer. And I went and had this interview, and it was really crazy. They were designing these awards for the investment banking industry, and they're not called awards; they're called deal tombstones or
Oh,
financial tombstones, which sounds a little bit like a little bit morose, but but yes. And it was really, really fast paced, and I loved the design thinking behind it. And when I say awards, these awards don't often look like traditional awards that you might get at business awards, sort of thing. They're very focused around what that deal is about and that business. So they're quite quirky often.
mm. So you sort of were in the awards industry quite early, really, dealing with that.
I was, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, quite
So what made you start up on your own?
I think it's the age old story for most women. I had my first child, and we had moved out of London so that we could, bring her up in a different area. And I just didn't want to be in London anymore, working
Mm.
9 till 6, possibly later. In that
Mm.
world, you're working on pitches. It's quite full on. You're there till God knows what time.
Mm.
Um, so I just thought, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to do my own awards business. And that's where it started. And yeah, 10 years later, I'm still here.
But you don't just do awards, do you? Because you've got
No,
two elements to two different businesses, really, haven't you?
I do. Yeah. So COVID came, and funnily enough, no one really wanted awards in
Oh, I know it
COVID.
was a tough time. It was
Yeah,
a tough time.
it was tough, and it made me realize that I only have very niche type of client and
Mm.
one type of industry essentially. So I thought I need to branch out a little bit more. So I went back, thought about what I've done in the past, and I have done branding as part of my design journey. I went and trained as a brand strategist as well, and opened up the Edge brands. So I'm in a really fortunate position because I work with sort of B2B corporates in investment banking, but I also work with smaller businesses and really get to know them and help them put their personality into their brand.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm lucky really.
So what do you think aesthetically makes an attractive looking award?
Oh, good question. I think goes back to that personality thing I was just talking about, to
Mm.
be honest. I think if you are hosting awards, if you're presenting awards, your award really needs to show your brand in there.
Mm.
It needs to have a bit of something, a bit something extra, not just a plain square or rectangle or something like that. Because although they're nice and they're easy, actually something really memorable it looks so good on people's, on their shelves and things like that, where in the background your one is going to stand out amongst all the other ones that I presume people have. And that's the whole point. It is a marketing thing for you as well as the recipient. It's a two-way street. So yeah, go all out, make it different, make it wild.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. I think, when I interview people and they've got my award standing on the back of their shelf, and we've changed them over the years, but it's nice to see it and recognise it. And I think recognition with an award is everything of how it looks on somebody's shelf. So I'm intrigued to understand how you then moved into sort of Edge Brands, and how have you built that business? Has that been through networking or other forms of marketing?
Yeah, so it's a very different business to Acknowledge. So Acknowledge was much more word of mouth and building up that online presence so that it's like, number one on Google and all that kind of stuff. But the Edge Brands was much more organic in its approach. It was me having to go out there and talk to people and get to know people, because that brand, the Edge Brands, is all about me. I'm the one that's designing and getting to know that business owner and really delving into who they are. So they have to know me and trust me. And so, yeah, it has been an awful lot of networking, getting to know people, making friends really as well. And of course, other marketing things like social media and website and everything else that you can think of. I think we just did a exhibition actually in Milton Keynes not that long ago. So yeah, it's been a different approach to getting people on board as leads and clients. But yeah, it's been a fun one, I think.
So this is an ideal opportunity to give a plug for some of the networking that you've done, because I think I know some of the groups that you go to. So let's just share some of those networking groups today that you found really useful.
So the first networking group that I ever went to was Busy Women Networking, run by Aruna.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
She is a really lovely, lovely person. And it was so great. It was perfect for me at that time when I was just kind of starting out, a little bit nervous about going to these kind of networking groups. And it was all women, and everyone in those groups are just always so lovely. So yeah, that networking group made a huge difference to me. Also, Athena with Kate.
Yeah,
I was in one of her groups, and they were brilliant at that time. It was I think it's still online actually, but yeah, so that was great. And another one is Collaborate MK.
Love Collaborate. Yeah,
Tim Lee runs, and honestly, that one, I'm still part of that group, and yeah, I really enjoy being part of that. And it's a really great business community. It's not just about selling to people. There's something more there, which is really nice, I think. And also, obviously, I went to Sister Snog, and there's other little bits. So yeah, lots, I think, really, of networking. Yeah.
And I think it's about growing your name and your reputation. And then you're also part of Emphasis community as well, aren't you?
Of course, yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that. Oh my goodness, she's going to tell me off. Yeah, so I was one of Emphasis sort of clients, I suppose. I think. Yeah, so then I was sort of brought into her world, and then you network with everyone within her world too. So yeah, brilliant.
Oh, Emphasis coming back on the podcast actually in a couple of weeks. So I interviewed her some time ago when she won a silver award at the Best Business Women Awards, and then of course she went on to win an SME Beds and a National Business Women Award. So she's coming back on to talk to us about that change in her business. So that's be interesting.
Excellent.
And the lovely Tim, I'm also part of Collaborate. I've got the online membership with them, and he is amazing. And he's just built such an incredible community in Milton Keynes. And Aruna and I go back to 4 networking days. So when Aruna was a regional director for them. So it's interesting, isn't it? How, I can meet you and actually there are lots of different roads to you, that we've had things that have crossed over and people that we know, because I actually think the business world itself is quite small, really.
It is. And I
Yeah,
think there's a perception that it isn't, but I think it is.
yeah, no, it
Everyone
is.
does know everyone.
Mm.
Yeah.
So going back to when you obviously started your business, because you said about having children, which is a common theme on this podcast when I speak to women, that they founded their business based on their experience and their knowledge of a particular industry, because once they'd had children, it became very difficult to go back to the workplace. So what kind of things in those very early days did you do that made the business successful? And were there any mistakes that you made along the way that you kind of look back now and think, "Well, could have
Yeah.
done that differently"?
It's a funny time, isn't it, when you
Mm,
start a business for the first time and you really don't know what you're doing. I spent an awful lot of time doing, researching and finding out lots of things. And I remember setting up my first website and being like, oh my God, it's amazing. And then setting up your the limited company through the accountant, and all of these little things, these little tiny steps, which felt massive
mm,
at that time. I think the one thing that really helped me I don't know why, I just had this kind of confidence that I was going to do it. Just go and do it. Just do it at the beginning. And it was all online because initially my clients were all investment bankers. I
mhm,
wish I if I was to do that now again, I would start going to actually see them and meet them in person instead
mm,
of being like hidden. I felt for a long time I was hidden behind a computer.
mm,
But yeah, I think that is my top takeaway, is to really get yourself out there, go and meet
mm,
people, go and talk, because you're going to learn stuff from other people as well. There's only
mm.
so much you can do reading and listening to things all the time. It's actually getting out there in the world really makes a
Exactly.
huge difference to your business.
I absolutely
Yeah.
agree with that. So let's talk about branding, and when we see small businesses starting out, what's the common mistakes that you see that they make with their branding?
Oh, I think most biggest common thing is using their favorite colors.
Mm,
Oh, I like this color. I'm going to use that. I want it to look pretty, or, not really having much consideration to who they're targeting, who their market is, who their clients are, and understanding what attracts them. So, you might love this look and feel, but you're at a different stage right now to where your
mm,
client is. They're not there yet. So where are they now? And how can you create this visual presence that attracts them where they are now, what not where you are? And I think
mm,
it's a difficult transition, isn't it, to get away from it being your baby, your business, to really let go and be like, right, it's got to focus on them,
mm.
on those people that I really want to work with. Yeah, I think branding is incredibly powerful, but it can also be very unpowerful. I'm not even sure that's a word, but you know what I mean. It's kind of,
Yeah, I know. It can work against you, I think, if it's not the
yeah.
right look. So how do you go about working with somebody then if they come to you and say, "Oh, Natalie, I need to, create a brand"? What do you do with them?
Well, we usually have a sort of consultation. I talk to them, I ask them lots of questions about who they are, where they want to go, which I think is a big one.
Mm,
Often times a lot of people haven't really thought about where they want their brand to be or their business. It's kind of like they're just peddling day to day. So having that kind of conversation. And then they can work with me in different ways. So sometimes people might just want the visuals, they might just want a logo because they already know they've done quite a lot of work themselves on who their business is and everything else. So they don't need that strategy just yet,
mm,
or or they actually need some clarity. Sometimes it's all in their head, all those
mm,
ideas, who you are, it's all up there, and trying to get it out is
mm,
really difficult. So then I'd work with them in a brand strategy workshop.
Mm.
Either that's just one and having a smaller smaller sort of session, or whether that's up to four and we're really going really deep into finding who they are and getting that real, all those golden nuggets that come out from all those workshops and ideas that spin off from it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's quite an enlightening process, I think, because often you don't realize what you know until you
Mm.
start putting it all out there. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's exciting because we rebranded the awards, oh gosh, 3 years ago now. Because it was something I just sort of I got someone to design this logo. Turned out that they'd cobbled it from some other like clip art type logo.
Oh
I
God.
know, it's a horrible story. Um, and somebody contacted me and said, "Oh, look, this kombucha brand is using your logo." It wasn't the same colors, but it was the same style because we had these two hands together with these stars above it. I was like, really? Anyway, this designer had long gone, disappeared off the face of the planet, couldn't contact them. Started to do some reverse image searches on Google, found it on this website, contacted the website and said, where have you got this from? Because I paid this designer to do this, and this is a copy of the receipt, the invoice and the emails that we'd exchanged. And they said, well, it's a design that's uploaded onto our site, so he probably purchased that and then took the elements of it and just changed it.
Mm.
So I thought, right, I've got to rebrand this. And then, of course, the pandemic hit and that was all going on because it costs a fortune to do a rebrand. So you're better
It
off to
does.
get it right in the first place.
Yeah.
So I worked with somebody that I really trusted, that I've known a long time and spent quite a lot of money working with her and getting what I wanted, the elements of the sort of silver, the gold, the stars, da 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 da. And it takes a lot of time and patience. And then obviously you've then got the cost of, you know, the new stationery I had to buy, like banners and all
Mm-hmm.
sorts of things. So it's a heavy commitment to do it. But it was worth it. But I wish that I had, and I mean, this was 10 years ago. And I think branding wasn't as prevalent as it is today, the whole.
Yeah.
But I do regret not sitting down with somebody face to face. Working with somebody online can have a downside. So I think everything you're saying makes perfect sense because ideas are sparked from each other, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's thinking about your brand in a whole vision
Mm,
as well, because your brand isn't just the look or the feel. It's every single time someone is interacting with you
mm,
is your brand. So, there's so many things that come out of that. Oh, look, your client is really feeling like this at this time. So what can you do to make that better for them? And all those little extra customer service bits that come out of those
mm,
workshops is really, really valuable, not just the end result of the
mm,
of the of the logo and the colors and what everyone
mm.
presumes is branding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's much more than just a logo, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Fundamentally, much,
Yeah.
much more.
So much more.
So let's talk about your journey to winning awards, because obviously you'd spent many, many years designing awards or tombs, whatever they were called, for the investment banking industry. So awards had probably been on your radar much earlier than a lot of entrepreneurs, because you were probably aware that there were awards out there because you were obviously on the other side of it.
Yeah.
So what was your strategy and what did you decide to apply for and why?
I think my strategy, well, I always knew that they're a great marketing thing.
Mm,
They're so good at getting you trust and connection with other people as well, and getting you out there, in terms of PR and everything else. They're so good for that. So I knew that I wanted to get to a certain place in my business first when I was really confident. I always knew I was going to do it, but I had to feel like, right, okay, I'm ready now. I'm there. And then it's just been planned out, I suppose, in the sense of like, I'm going to try this one this
mm,
year. Next year, I'll be trying for these ones. I have, a next sort of 2 or 3 years planned of who I'm going to
oh,
be. Um, you know, yeah, yeah, because they are really, really powerful for you as a business, for you
Mm,
as a business owner as well, because it does give you a bit of a pat on the back. You know, you're kind of like,
mm,
oh, I'm actually doing okay. You know, I'm there. I'm getting there. I'm getting to where I want to be. But yeah, it's a really important tool of building
mm.
your brand and your own personal brand as well, not just your business brand.
So next
Yeah.
week you're at the SME Bedfordshire
I
final.
am. I
How
am.
amazing. So what's the
Yeah.
category that you're a finalist in?
I'm three categories
Oh,
I'm in, which is amazing.
wow.
I think one is Entrepreneur of the Year. Another
Mm.
one is the international. Oh, I can't remember the exact title now. Oh, that's terrible. Um, export
Mm-hmm. Because you
exporting.
sell your awards overseas, do you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I have a lot of clients all over the world. Um, and the other one is like a high turnover, I think. A high turnover
Excellent.
one.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah. So
How
it's all very
exciting.
exciting.
So for you, it's about these ones, SME Beds, getting you on the map locally, really, getting more awareness locally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I will say I did try the national ones first, actually. I just went for it. And I was a finalist,
Mm,
didn't quite get there. And it made me realize actually my strategy needs to change. It needs to be much more sort of structured, right? Let's do
mm,
local first, build it up,
mm,
because my business is still building up. So I can't
mm.
just go straight, bam, there,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know?
I think even getting to the finals of a national award is something to be proud of because you've been recognised nationally, and I think that's important. But I think also being recognised locally can be really good for your business because people in the local area go, oh, okay, let's use Natalie because she's local. And, from my perspective, I won some local awards and it really did put me on the map and it got me business, absolutely got me business. So I always say to people, go for local stuff, but also do a mix, there's design awards out there as well. So you should have a
Yeah.
look at those. I mean,
Yeah, so they're on that's my next year.
yeah,
Next year.
next year's plan. I love the fact that you're planning it because, that is so important. It's what a lot of people don't do. They're very reactive and they suddenly see, oh, those awards have popped up in my feed. Oh, they close tomorrow. Oh, well, I'll fling an entry together and try my best to get in my foot in the door. Rarely does that work, that strategy,
Yeah,
but actually being able to plan it out and say, right, okay, I'm going to look out for when these awards open next year and get stuff done is very proactive, and those approaches generally will get you to the final, if not the winning slot. So that's very good.
well, fingers crossed. Hey.
Oh, so any other business tips that you want to share? Anything else that we need to know about if we were a small business listening to this?
You're a small business. I think it's really easy to get overwhelmed because there's
Yeah.
so many things that you should be doing. There's everyone telling you all of this in your ear all the time. So I
Mm,
think it's important to take a step back and just do it in your own time and don't push yourself before it's like too much.
mm,
Um, but yeah, I think definitely just get out there, go and
mm.
see people, go and speak
Get
to people.
networking.
Yeah,
Mm.
go do it.
So in terms of running a business around your children, be quite a good opportunity to
Mm.
talk a little bit about this before we end.
Mm-hmm.
So how old are your children now?
They are 12, 8, and 6.
My goodness, you've got three.
I've got
It's
3.
hard work. So you've actually sort of got secondary school and infant school and all the rest of it. So how do you sort of juggle the business with your children? How do you manage to do that?
I think, well, it's quite structured.
Mm,
I structure my day around the children,
mm,
so I take them to school and then I come back to the office and I do my meetings and I work and whatever it is. And then I'm there to pick them up and do all the other things and take them to the clubs and things. But I have other people in my business.
mm,
So I couldn't do that completely on my own. I have a couple of VAs. I have another designer who works on the tombstones for me. Um, So yeah, that's how I'm able to keep it all around my children. If it was just me, which it has been, I've been, there's days when I was working till midnight every day and going here, there, and every, but it's better for me and my kids to have other people involved that help me, yeah.
Yeah, and what I'm getting from you, Natalie, is, talking about planning for awards next year, is all you clearly have got structure in your life. And I think that stops you going mad.
Yeah, I don't think I could have, yeah, I mean, which is weird because I'm a creative, all over the place person generally, but I think I have to have the structure, otherwise I couldn't do it, I don't think. Yeah.
No, I think structure is one of the most important things, and I think not getting distracted by bright, shiny things syndrome.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've done that in the past. I've, courses after courses and all those kind of things, but yeah, it's been quite,
Yeah, focus
determined.
on the job in
Yeah.
hand. Okay, that's brilliant. Well, thank you for joining me today. Wish you luck next week for the SME Bedfordshire Awards. It's always a great night. I've been to it a few times, and so you get a chance to get your glad rags on and have a celebration of all things being a small business. So it's great. And we look forward to following your journey, Natalie, because I'm sure
Thank
there's many more awards that are going to be coming your way.
Thank you very much, Debbie. It's been great
Take care.
chatting.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Natalie.